Good afternoon, everyone. We are officially calling our budget workshop for fiscal year 2025-2026 to order. The time is now 2:14 p.m. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicole Reynoso.
Present.
Councilman Rafael Pineiro.
Present.
Councilwoman Dina Cabral.
Present.
Vice Mayor Maureen Porras. Mayor Christy Fraga.
Present.
Mayor have quorum.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Porras. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I will now turn it over to our city manager's office for the budget presentation.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. I'm proud to present the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget, reflecting our shared dedication to building a safer, stronger, and more connected community. This budget is more than numbers. It is a roadmap to deliver services, programs, and infrastructure that our residents deserve. It provides the quality services our residents expect while maintaining the city's strong financial position, highlighting the administration's focus on sound and operational practices. Guided by 5 strategic priorities with your valuable input: public safety, quality of life, revenue and efficiency, exceptional service, and communications, we remain focused on advancing these areas to better serve our community and build a stronger, more resilient future. Together, these initiatives will safeguard our neighborhoods and foster community pride. I look forward to working with you to bring this vision to life. I want to sincerely thank the Mayor and Council for your guidance and support. I also, as well, would like to thank city staff for their dedication and hard work in preparing this proposed budget. At this time, I will turn the presentation over to Assistant City Manager and CFO Fernando Casamayor and Finance Director Solangel Perez.
Good afternoon. IT, can you put up the presentation, please? So, good afternoon. Fernando Casamayor, Assistant City Manager and CFO for the City of Doral. Solangel Perez and I are going to be tag teaming this presentation, so please bear with us. First slide here is just a calendar of our budget process. We've been working on this budget since prior to April, but in April is when the strategic planning meetings that are the core of our financial decisions take place. We've gone through a variety of different iterations of this budget, meeting with the departments and the manager, making decisions, and then leading up to July 30th when you set the millage rate as per the state requirements. And here we are today doing the budget workshop. The next steps after this officially will be the 2 meetings in September, where hopefully we will finalize our budget and be able to submit everything to the state of Florida. So at a glance, our budget is approximately $174 million. That's all funds. The general fund, which is kind of the one we always talk about, is about $99 million and just under $19 million in capital improvements. The all other funds budget, which is things like impact fees, transportation, building, is about $56 million. So this is our fund balance history. I know that there's always questions regarding fund balance, which is really a good indicator of the fiscal stability of any government organization. As you can see, going back to 2017, our fund balance has risen significantly. We are projecting this year a drop in fund balance, and I'll explain that because that is covering some significant investments that this city has made, not necessarily made in 1 year. Back in 2022, this city council decided to put $33 million towards the bond programming to complete Central Park. Over the last 3 years, we've been expending some of that. This year, we plan on expending the majority of that because Central Park construction has come to a close. The other large expenditure that actually occurred during this current year and got spent during this current year was the $21 million settlement and purchase for the Doral 10-acre site. The green is what our 15% required fund balance is. So as you can see, we are way above what our required fund balance is. On the next slide is just an indication of what revenues make up our general fund. Taxes in general make up 67% of our general fund, but only 36% of that is ad valorem, what we call property taxes. The rest of those tax line items, sales tax, PTP funds, some of those other taxes that are collected by other agencies and shared with us. This is a visual description of that last slide. So it is basically the pie chart showing you that ad valorem is about 36%, other taxes 31%, and then the variety of other charges and fees that make up our general fund. So this is a visual interpretation of what our millage rates have been. I didn't go all the way back to 2003, but back in 2003, the original millage rate for Doral was 2.4 and change. It has gradually come down over time to where we are today, which is 17166. The green bar is the debt millage, which is what voters voted on for the park bond, and that is set for whatever amount of bond payments need to be made for that fiscal year. So this is a comparison of everyone else and where we are. So as you can see here, Doral is that orange line kind of at the end there. We do have the lowest operating millage rate in Miami-Dade County. The second closest is Aventura. We're at 17166. They are at 1762 and change, I believe. So we do more with less. This chart here, I think you all saw during the TRIM presentation. This is the average Doral homesteaded residential property value multiplied by the millage rate, and that equals about $657 for the average resident of Doral to pay for the operations of the city. So this one, it's a little hard to read from where you are, but this is an actual tax notice. We have cleared out the name and address and folio numbers so that we don't, identify any particular person. But this Doral resident pays over $8,000 in taxes and fees, of which less than $600 goes to the city of Doral for its operating. The majority of this is going to Miami-Dade County, the school board, other state taxing authorities, and then on this case, the county solid waste bill is almost $700. They have a CDD, which is over $1,000 payment. So of that $8,000, about $600 goes to operations for the city of Doral.
Mr. Casamayor, can you identify what area is the CDD part in this?
Right, so the tax notice is color-coded. You're welcome. The colored part up at the top is the actual property taxes that are based on the value of your home. So in red or light pink is the school board, the state is in this orange color, Miami-Dade County is blue, Doral or your municipal government would be in green, and then below the line where it says non-ad valorem assessments, you see 3 different lines. The first one looks like a land, light, or guard district in wherever this individual lives. It's a small amount for the maintenance of whatever that special assessment is. The second one is Miami-Dade County solid waste. And yes, this person pays more for Miami-Dade County solid waste, 2 pickups a week, than they do for the entirety of Doral operations. And the last one is over $1,000, and the code is kind of weird, but that looks like to me is a CDD, a community development district, which imposed by the developer when this project was built.
Just to confirm, Doral does not get any of those non-ad valorem assessments.
No, we do not. So this is one that members of the council have seen before. This is the iteration of that in a $100 bill. You will see here Miami-Dade County gets $44.55 of every $100 that a Doral resident pays. The school board gets $38.30. Regional millages, which again are those state millages, $1.50. The Children's Trust, $2.90. And the city of Doral, $12.75. This is just a breakout of what our expenses are by department and then what percentage of the budget those are. Obviously, our largest expenditures would be, police and parks, because, those are the two most important departments that we have in our community. Our community values police and parks significantly. So this is the $1 iteration of, okay, what you pay Doral, where does that go? And again, the largest portion is police at 35 cents, park and recreation at 14, code compliance 2, planning zoning 2, and then general government 38 cents, but it seems like a lot for general government, but there's a lot of things in there. These are council mayor, city manager's office, public affairs, CIP, the clerk, HR, finance, procurement, IT. And they're all kind of pennies compared to everything else. So this is an expense analysis of, kind of where that money goes. The majority of what we pay, about 56%, is personnel. By the way, of that, 55% is police. So, it's hard to have a police department without police officers. That's why our personnel costs are significantly high. The rest of this are operations costs, transfers, and capital outlay. Okay, so some of our highlights and what we've included into this budget. We are proposing a 5% COLA and a 5% merit for our non-sworn, non-bargaining employees. We are in negotiations with the PBA for a successor contract for next year. These numbers may be a little bit different for them, but again, we are in the middle of negotiations. Our proposed budget headcount is 543 positions. Our health insurance rate increased by 3.78%. We are not planning on imposing that onto our employees. The city will, for lack of a better term, absorb that. We are also absorbing an FRS rate increase. FRS is a Florida retirement system. It is the only pension that the city of Doral is part of. That is for our police officers and is part of our labor contract. That rate went up from about 32% to 35.19%. And our general liability and property insurance went up significantly by approximately $2 million, mostly due to the opening of Doral Central Park, the aquatics facility, and the community center. Those are some significantly high liability for the city. And then lastly, we are investing in revenue-generating assets to try to continue to diversify our revenue so that we are not as reliant on property taxes. In this budget, you'll find money for the Doral 10 development, where we'll hopefully put out an RFP, public-private partnership to develop that land and put it on the tax rolls. Funding for the Doral Central Park parking garage and retail facility. We have a naming rights study, and we are working on a parking master plan. So this is an analysis on the cost of living versus the consumer price index over the last several years. Our COLA, which is what was given or what has been proposed, what was given is the past, the last line is what's being proposed. This is the cost of living increases that we gave our employees from 2022 to today. The blue line is the CPI. This is the Consumer Price Index. And as you can see here, the Consumer Price Index has risen significantly higher than the COLAs that we have given our employees. And even if we do get approval of a 5% COLA as we're proposing, we would still be below the increases in CPI over the last several years. I will turn it over to Solange to continue this presentation.
Thank you. The fiscal year 2026 proposed budget includes CIP projects to fund Doral Central Park parking garage and retail conceptual design and architectural and engineering services, as well as police department headquarters conceptual and A&E. In addition to that, there's government center space reconditioning and downtown Doral Park and Doral Meadow Park new playgrounds installation. as well as City Hall parking garage EV station expansion. The following are the strategic priorities outlined in the fiscal year 2026 budget proposal. These priorities served as the framework for decision-making processes and guide investments to maximize impact across key operational areas. As the city manager detailed, those are public safety, quality of life, revenue and innovation and efficiency, exceptional service, and communication. The following slides will present you with the budget highlights tied to the strategic planning goals. Enhancing community safety and engagement. We've established a specialized park response unit with 5 new sworn officers. Strengthening workforce capacity. A continued investment in the police trainees program and academy to bolster staffing levels and expand patrol presence. Modernizing fleet and operational excellence. Building community trust, launching dedicated community outreach units. Upgrading park safety infrastructure by implementing citywide lightning detection system upgrades. We move on to quality of life. By building capacity to support growth, maximizing impact of Doral Central Park. With full operations underway, the park now delivers a wide range of expanded recreational, aquatic, youth sports, cultural, special events programs, supported by 9.4 million of the city's budget. That includes personnel, operating, and the insurance impact. But it will serve as a vibrant community hub. Enhancing inclusive and enriching programs, expanding senior and special needs services alongside cultural arts initiatives. Advancing active and connected lifestyles, finalizing the Citywide Trail Network and launching Phase 2 of the Doral Boulevard Master Plan. Expanding transit operations, enhancing trolley and freebie services as part of the city's holistic investment in providing free transportation options, including implementing key recommendations from the Doral Transit Plan. Investing in bus shelter improvements, advancing the construction of new and upgraded bus shelters citywide. My personal favorite, revenue innovation and efficiency, strengthening organizational capacity. We're adding 2 key positions to enhance technology support and provide data-driven process improvements citywide, driving revenue growth and operational efficiency, expanding regional sponsorship outreach, including naming rights opportunities, and piloting a business compliance inspection program to boost revenues, while simultaneously leading citywide business process improvements and prioritizing capital projects that generate recurring revenue to enhance sustainable operations and efficiency. Initiating a comprehensive parking master plan study to address future city mobility and parking needs. Upgrading technology infrastructure to modernize network systems, license plate readers, and computer equipment. Enhancing communication operations, upgrading AV systems across city meeting spaces, and implementing new parks and recreation customer software to streamline service deliveries. Exceptional service. Expanding staff to enhance service delivery, adding 6 new positions to support community cleanliness, safety, workforce development, operational needs, and support local businesses. Investing in infrastructure and safety enhancements. Advancing projects citywide such as road resurfacing, sidewalk restoration, landscaping, traffic calming, bus shelter upgrades, stormwater improvements, and new signalized intersections to improve mobility and public safety. Improving maintenance and sustainability.
focusing on facility upkeep, fleet management improvements, and energy efficient initiatives, including EV chargers and hybrid vehicle acquisitions to promote sustainable operations. Enhancing customer service and staff development, strengthening customer services through targeted training, leadership development programs. Communication, enhancing content education and engagement by creating videos, infographics, and newsletters to remain transparent, increasing targeted advertising to drive involvement, investing in real-time responsive communication, launching citywide 24/7 community and customer engagement platforms, including a robust text notification system and chatbots, strengthening transparency through community events, and using data to improve outreach and participation. This concludes the presentation that we have prepared to council.
Thank,
Madam Manager, do you have anything else?
thank you, Mayor. We have put together what I think is a great proposal for our budget for next year. We are trying to plan for the future, as I asked and wanted to do when I came here to do great work. What I hope and have been supported as such with the great staff that we have. They have worked very hard. I asked for this to be a different type of presentation from what Doral has done in the past, because I feel that the community needs to see things for what is important to us, and our strategic goals are the ones that are important to us. I want the city to be set up in the future to be able to have these recurring revenue, and that is what I'm choosing to, what we've put in the budget, is to have recurring revenue generating assets that will diminish our reliance on property taxes, so that the residents, so that we can have the funds that we need to support the city and the residents won't be taxed for it. So that is our proposal, and I'm ready to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Madam City Manager. So what we're gonna do now is, everyone's had an opportunity to meet with staff independently. We have our line item budget. We have the summary budget, which is also available to the public online and attached to the agenda. So everyone hopefully came prepared for questions and proposals if need be. This is our time to make suggestions. We can vote on it by consensus. However, the city attorney feels is best in the administration to be able to act, so that when we come for our first reading, we can take an action, and then second reading, take an action. I do not want a repeat of what happened last year. So this is your opportunity. This is the opportunity to bring to the table your ideas, your comments, your concerns. This is where we hash it out, so that when they come forward in a month with the final budget for adoption, we are not making staff scramble. And they come with a balanced proposed budget that we have had input on all this time for, vote and move on. Some of us may agree, some of us may not. We will not have a repeat of last year. I just want to lay that out right now. Before I open it up to everyone so we can each go through our proposals, I actually brought a proposal myself. I asked the administration just a little while ago to please have it ready, so I think IT may have it ready. I also have copies for staff, for everyone here, for council members, and Connie's gonna help me pass that out. So when IT is ready, if you could put it up. I want to present this before we start hearing everyone's comments, because this is something that was kind of, I threw out during the millage rate meeting, and I think it's important to discuss now during the workshop. I'm making 3 proposals today to add to the budget. These are not currently reflected in our budget. I'll wait till everybody has copies. I have had preliminary discussions with staff, with the administration, the city manager's office, and our CFO about this, and where we could find the funds and its impact. The first proposal is the Doral Golden Hearts Supporting Our Senior Community Grant. This is a targeted grant program providing direct financial support to Doral's most vulnerable senior residents, addressing the gap left behind by the county's program, which has been reduced or at this point suspended, from what I understand, because of their large budget cuts. So the county used to provide senior homestead exemption residents a $600 grant that they would receive directly in the mail. I believe they did that for a couple years and they reduced it to 200. This year it's been completely eliminated. So I had staff look into how many homes in Doral currently have senior homestead exemption. And we found that 250 homes currently have senior homestead exemption. To qualify for senior homestead exemption, you must be 65 or over and be living on a fixed income of at least $35,000 or less. So right now, 250 homes qualify. My proposal is to provide these 250 homes with a direct $200 grant in the form of a check or credit. And so we would send that directly to them in the form of a grant. This would cost the city $50,000. Why this is important and why it's important to support our seniors: raising property taxes, utilities, and living expenses create financial strain on our fixed income seniors. Miami-Dade County is no longer providing this direct relief to these households on their current budget cycle, and many seniors have dedicated decades of building our community, but now face difficult financial choices. This is not a tax refund or exemption, which is prohibited under state statute, but a direct support grant to those who truly need it most. What is the difference between a targeted relief versus a general tax reduction? Rollback rate problems. A general tax reduction or rollback rate would provide only about $50 savings a year to a homeowner, while giving large commercial properties hundreds of thousands in savings. The Golden Hearts solution, direct $200 grant to qualifying seniors, provides meaningful, true relief to those who really do need it the most, while preventing the city's revenue from cutting essential services. The community benefit: this demonstrates Doral's commitment to supporting the most vulnerable residents in a fiscally responsible way that maintains services across the board for all. The eligibility for this would simply be to have your senior homestead exemption, which is granted by the property appraiser's office. This is my first proposal, and I'm putting it on the table, which we could either take a vote or by consensus have staff move forward and include the $50,000 in our budget. And then I will bring forward a formalized resolution with the program and how it'll be adopted so we can distribute those grants. Next, I'm proposing the Doral EHG4 Emergency Hardship Grant for Doral families. This is also a targeted grant program providing direct financial support for hardworking Doral families who face sudden emergencies through no fault of their own. Our proposed one-year program provides targeted relief with strict oversight, delivering up to $3,000 per eligible household for housing, utilities, or emergency care, with payments made directly to service providers, not to the resident directly. This program structure would be $100,000 in our budget, is what it would cost us. It could impact an average of about 100 families, and they're eligible to receive approximately up to $3,000. The eligibility requirements for this grant would be a minimum of 12 months residency in Doral, which would need to be verified, an income limit of about approximately 80% AMI for a single household, 100% AMI for dual, full documented verifiable hardship with proof, and the administrative controls we can put in place are: you get 1 award per household per 12 months, public reporting of all disbursements and outcomes, administrated by city staff, a panel. We did this for the Doral Cares program back when COVID, and payments made directly to verified service providers, never in cash or never directly to household to a resident. And this is not a permanent entitlement or a created benefit in perpetuity for any resident. So what does this mean, or who would qualify? How would this be impacted? Intended circumstances of assistance would be loss of employment or significant reduction in work hours, a death or incapacitation of an income providing member of the household, an unforeseeable medical emergency or expense, a pending eviction or foreclosure, imminent utility shutoffs, emergency child care expenses, or transportation. Let's say your transmission blows and you're just not financially prepared for that. That could be a hardship that you provide. The immediate impact provides rapid local relief, to when the country, when our county or nonprofit organization, the federal government are delayed or don't provide it for these specific outcomes, prevent evictions, utility shutoffs, and family displacements, maintain community stability during personal crisis, keeps children in our local schools during family emergencies. And the long-term impact is reduces long-term social service costs through early intervention, strengthens public trust and responsiveness in local city government, preserves neighborhood stability and property values, and demonstrates Doral's commitment, once again, to practical, compassionate government. And it's taken on a case-by-case scenario. Again, I would bring forward a formal resolution with a process for this. My thought process is that to extend to this grant as much as possible is we would open it up for a 10-day period at the beginning of every month. Households could apply under the qualifications if there's a hardship, and they could receive up to $3,000 for any of these cases, and therefore it would allow us to extend the $100,000 throughout the year for unforeseeable costs for families who really are suffering hardships, and again, preserving our income, our revenue for the city through ad valorem, and not cutting our services, but still providing relief to people who really truly need that relief in a way that's really impactful, not just potentially a $50 to $100 savings a year. And the third proposal I'm making is called Doral Seeds, which is a Doral Innovation Grant Program for businesses. This would be in the form of $20,000. Our idea is to host a competition. Additionally, I'm in conversations with some banks to match these funds, so potentially it could be a lot more for the business. Doral has never done a small business grant to incentivize innovation in our community and really fuel job growth in our city. So this is the proposal for this one. Can I go to the next slide, please? Why Doral Seeds matters: contribute to our local economy, strengthening existing business, creates a multiplier effect throughout our community. They pay taxes that can fund city services as far as businesses are concerned. So this is important to make sure businesses are succeeding in our community, and it can absolutely create new jobs for residents. The standards and qualifications to apply in the competition would need to be drawn out, and we're working on that as well. But again, this is just an overview of what we would need to put in the budget so we can get this going. Program structure and benefits, just an oversight of kind of what we've put together. The grant would be about $20,000 from the city, could be more if we get matching funds from other entities that would be directly given to the business. For businesses operating for at least 6 months in our city, transparent merit-based selection process, independent panel, and designed to avoid political influence or ensure to ensure fairness. So it would be done by a separate panel. We could put all that together. Beyond the money, increased visibility throughout the selection process, valuable connections to mentors, potential access, publicity opportunities for these businesses, and strategic introductions that fuel long-term growth. So we're really focusing on highlighting and growing the businesses, small businesses in our community that really truly need it the most. So these are the 3 proposals I have that I would like to add to our budget. We've really given this a lot of thought. Like I said, when I made the comments I made during our trim notice, I said I'd rather give the real relief that's needed directly back to the people in our community that need it, and this is a fiscally responsible way of doing that. We recognize that people in our community do suffer hardships at times, and so this is, I think, the way of putting our residents and those who really need it in our community first. So I'll leave those on the table, and then we'll take it up as we go because we will need a consensus or a vote. Mr. Coviega, you tell me what you feel more comfortable with so that staff can put it in the budget.
Yeah, I think a consensus, and a conversation. It's not a formal notice meeting, so that would probably be the proper thing to do.
Perfect. All right. So I will now go ahead and open it up to any comments or questions regarding the proposed budget.
I have some questions.
Sure, absolutely. Vice Mayor Forrest.
Okay, so I thought today we were doing department-based presentations, but it was just going to be done by the assistant city manager. So we're not going through the budgets per department?
No, ma'am. I put out an email explaining to you what the structure was going to be like. I think I covered it during the meetings that we have. We are changing the way that we do this presentation because it is the most widely used by other municipalities of not doing this department by department and taking 5 hours to go granularly through for you to be able to ask questions per department. If you so desire, I just wanted to tie it back to what our
Right.
strategic goals are.
Okay, yeah, I guess it was my misunderstanding, because I thought we were going to do all of the departments, but it was just gonna be one speaker. I think it's important for the public to see it. I mean, I reviewed all the budgets, I've reviewed all of the departments. I'm still waiting for documents to fully give my opinion and evaluation on the budget. I still have outstanding documents, right, from your office?
Yes, I believe there is one email that we have not been able to get to because it does take extensive work of the way you wanted the figures computed, and finance was getting ready for all of this. So, but I've answered just about everything else, every other email that you've sent.
Okay, and I'm going through those emails. I know we still have another meeting with your office next week. I don't think that this is the time to make a decision. This was for us to learn and hear from each department from a little more detailed, and to be quite honest, again, I don't have all the information that I think I need to make a decision. And while I agree that the mayor's proposals are, I think, in the right direction. I think it's great that we finally realize that residents really do need help during this time. And we, I don't know, and I would still have to review it, to be honest. I don't know if taking people's money and giving it to a select few is the right way to go. Personally, I would like to see something along the lines of making an exception to the ad valorem taxing to all of our senior citizens, which is something that the legislature is going to be probably taking up next year. And I think it's something that we as a city can lead. Like I said, I would have to review this, Mayor. I'm being sincere with you, and think about whether this is the most beneficial and the most optimal way to move forward with providing our residents relief, as opposed to lowering the millage rate and allowing each resident and each homeowner to choose how they spend the money that they're going to be saving, instead of, again, paying extra taxes this year and then us deciding what to do with that money. I think that I trust the residents with their own money. Personally, again, I'm not ready to vote on anything. This was supposed to be a time that we were reviewing and analyzing each department budget. I still have outstanding documents that I need. And some of the responses that I've gotten from your office, City Manager, I'm going to respond because I asked for different formats than the ones that I've received. And so, that's still something that's outstanding. So for me, I like the idea. I think it's on the right track. But I have to review this, and I cannot make a decision today.
Okay, anyone else? All right, just to explain this process real quick, and maybe IT can put up the presentation with the timeline. I think it was the first slide of the manager's report. So for those who haven't been doing this too long, or maybe this is new, we get the budget. I think we got the budget. When was this? When was it that this was submitted? Submitted proposed budget? July 31st. We received the budget. Again, we started this back in strategic planning. Since then, I'm pretty sure the manager's office, even before then, put out emails about the budget and meetings that have taken place. I've had at least 4 meetings about the budget with the administration to answer questions, make suggestions, and what they felt they could incorporate and what they felt needed to come to council for consensus, which is why I brought these 3 proposals here today, because they felt that that was something that needed council consensus to be able to actually implement into the budget. I brought today. The purpose of the workshop, while in the past has been a presentation of each individual department, this is just as efficient because we are going over what creates the budget, which is our strategic goals. And each department's requests are put into that format. So every single request or significant change in our budget, everything else is normal operations, has not changed. The city has not changed. Every large request that may impact the budget was put into this presentation. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in an effort to be efficient and really focus on the things that would change the structure of our budget, whether increase, decrease, whatever it may be, have been put into this presentation. I believe everybody had individual preparation meetings, which it was identified significant changes per department. At least that's how my meeting went, correct?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, and everybody had their meetings?
Yes, Mayor. We've had 2 meetings with each council member.
So the workshop is really, this is the proposed budget by staff. And I understand you may have questions that have not been answered. I think we got responses to most of the questions that were asked because it's shared with everyone in preparation for this workshop. But staff doesn't have any other direction other than the strategic plan, which is what created this budget, to really make changes of significance for an adoption, which is how we ended up in the mess last year, because some people didn't understand that. So this is that meeting. This is the meeting where you have your colleagues that will agree or disagree on the significant changes proposed. We can take things off, we can put things on, we can leave it the same. This is the meeting where we do that. Otherwise, staff can't be prepared for adoption, because the meeting that we come to vote is for us to adopt what we have discussed. There's no other time to do that. I want to be very clear. So you can come the day of the public hearing of adoption and make all the comments you want. There will be no changes that day. This is the time to do it. Unless there's something that happens that's crazy and that we need to have a discussion, and then we could change something from first to second, minor things. But we can't have huge changes like last year from first to second, because it can significantly change the budget. So I did my homework. I was here. I read the budget. I went through everything, asked my questions. I have more questions I'm going to ask today, and I'm making my proposals of what will significantly impact the budget. That's being prepared, that's being ready, that's working for the residents. So while you may still have questions of things that haven't been answered, you have had the budget. So now would be the time to make suggestions that staff can go work on. And if we need to call another budget workshop, let's do it. I'm here. Let's call another budget workshop where we can have those discussions. Everyone here is here and can come be here. So I just want to make that very clear, because it's unfair to say to staff, today's not about making decisions. Today is about putting on the record and giving guidance to staff as to where you want to see changes. So we'll hear from anyone else who has suggestions, proposals, recommendations. This is the time to do that.
I have some comments again.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think it's perfectly fine to do another budget workshop. I said it last year, and I'll say it again this year. This is not a process that should be rushed. And I'm still trying to figure out how our expenditures went up from 72 million in 2022, 2023 to what we're proposing today, 118 million. So yes, it is going to require line by line. And in fact, the budget that's presented to us is not sufficient to review line item, to ask questions. And with all due respect, once I asked for the information, you guys took a couple days to figure out whether you wanted to give me the information or you wanted to charge me for it. Then you decided that you didn't want to charge me for it, only for some. So, the delay is really on a lot of moving parts, and I understand that because a budget is a big deal, especially to residents. So, like I said, I'm still waiting for documents that are very important for me to review and to also give the public information on how their tax dollars are actually being spent, and I'm not going to be rushed. So if you guys want to have another workshop, I'm fine with it. But until I get all the documents that I requested, and again, I go through my other budget meeting, which we have next week, I'm not going to be rushed into making a decision.
So you have no suggestions for today?
I would like to hear from everyone, and then I can tell you. And again, I really do need documentation. I wish I would have been given the documents without being threatened to be charged for it. But since, they're delayed, so is my recommendation.
I received responses to several things. I didn't ask for them, but I received several responses because, to my understanding, our code provides that when a special request is made, so if things are not the way normally presented and staff has to do additional work, then responses are shared with everyone. I received several responses. I actually have them all printed here that could be discussed. And then I believe there's also public records requests that can take place.
Yes, through the mayor. Vice Mayor, all the emails that we have received, we have answered. There were things inserted within your emails that were public records requests. You asked for people's emails, you asked for work applications, you asked for things that are being handled as public records requests that aren't necessarily tied to the budget. We answered and did the work for the rest of the things that you answered. The only thing that hasn't been answered to you that would have been given to all of council was that you wanted to see per seat of the mayor and council budget what the cost was per seat. That requires finance to go back in a manual sense to compute all of these numbers, FICA, MICA, and separate them in a way they don't keep them. So we have not had time. We were getting ready, having meetings with everyone, getting ready for the agenda today, getting ready for all of this, and that is the only thing that we have not answered. As far as the public records requests, like that you have submitted, those are all in the clerk's office. And you have had the budget book as such, but I just want to clarify that we have answered everything except that one request.
If I can just follow up on that. That was actually my first request to your office. And so that you guys understand why I need that information, I need to justify whether the mayor needs 4 assistants. So I asked for calendars, I asked for things that would show me whether it's worth having the mayor increase her office with 4 assistants. Does that make sense? And that's still the item that I haven't received, and it was the first one that I asked. Some of the items that you have, some of the responses that you have sent me, and again, we don't have to do this here, but if you would like, I'm going to go into it. Some of the items and responses that I received from your office are not in the format that I requested. For example, I requested all of the invoices from the city attorney's office, and I got them in a bulk format. So I'm going to respond to your email and ask for all of the invoices separately so that I can see exactly what has been charged to the city. So again, I don't want to do this here. That's why we're going to have another meeting next week. But again, I'm not blaming your office. I'm just saying that it took a while for you guys to even consider my request for additional documentation, which, I think it's part of my duty to ask for as many financial documents as I can to review and really, again, justify my vote on a budget.
Madam City Manager, I have a quick question. Are the city attorney's invoices available on Munis?
Yes, Mayor.
They're all available, they can be pulled up on Munis?
Yes, Mayor.
Did each one of our assistants receive training on Munis for these purposes?
Yes, Mayor.
Did the Vice Mayor's assistant, as legislative analyst, attend that meeting?
Part of the meeting, yes, Mayor.
The part where we talked about the Munis training?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, so these invoices can be pulled up by each individual office since how far back?
Since the existence of Munis.
Okay. Well, 2015, 16. All available in our computers.
And I actually mentioned that during our email. I said, your office, and I've never had an issue from any of the city managers in providing me with these documents, your office and your staff are more well-equipped. They have very easy access. And they have always been able to give me that information. So now you want to put it back on my staff when you have staff that are literally in the finance department doing this job that can do that. So I understand the different blocks that you guys want to set up for me to get documents. I don't think the residents are going to understand it. But if you want to continue to deny my request for those documents, that's on the city. That's fine.
No one is denying anybody's request. I'm making it a point because it's unfair to sit here and make these comments when the true picture is not painted. They're unreasonable requests when, if that's something that's important for you doing your job, you have a legislative analyst who can go in there and do that. But to put that onus on our staff who is providing a service to the community and doing work is really unfair. So that's the truth. And secondly, you say that the mayor's office has 4 assistants. I do not have 4 assistants. I have 1 chief of staff, and there's a person who does the community outreach, does the protocol and communications. That's the only 2 people that I work with directly. The other person is a constituent services, which, by the way, you email too, because she's here to provide service to all of us, which she does. She's handling all the constituent services. She reports to my chief of staff, but she does not work directly for my office. She's out in the community. She's making meetings with residents. She handles all those concerns and requests to take work, the busy work, away from the staff and handle everything in one location, and keep track and make sure residents are getting timely responses. And the other person is the Hispanic outreach, which helps with the Hispanic and has absorbed a lot of the sister city programming, which is a responsibility of the mayor. So they're not my assistants that are directly working for me or doing any of my legislation or anything like that. So I just want to make that very clear. These are positions, and you can read their job descriptions. They're providing a service to the community. We are a service-heavy city. That's why one of our strategic goals is exceptional services, and that's the service that's being provided. So we're going to move on to anybody else has any questions. I think Councilwoman Reynoso has some comments.
I do. I have a few comments from the discussion just that arise in the situation. So just to clarify for our residents, public record requests are answered based on the public records that exist. If a format needs to be created, then public records are going to take longer to create. So it's not that this record already automatically exists. The data is there, but you're asking for it to be formatted in a specific way. Our staff is not here to at a whim, provide that information without moving around the work that they have to do. So it's going to take a little bit of time. It's not that the records are not being answered, it's that they have to be created. So that's one. Second, some of the invoices that I'm sure the attorney's office has to do with open lawsuits that you have against the city. And if you really care about the budget, stop suing the city. That's the one way to help ours. Okay, and then I think the real problem that's happening right now in this conversation is that the budget that we're trying to get through is increasingly being shaped by misinformation and not by facts or evidence. There's like a 300-page book here that if the public wants to look at, they can look at it too. There's another binder here that breaks down how everything is built that the public can look at too. We have staff that has worked on this for months. And the fact that we come in here and we're so demanding on information on a whim, it's just not fair. Now, in the last meeting that we had to do with setting the cap of our millage rate, I had asked, I'm not ready to make a decision based on the information presented because I still had to review it. And when I said that, Vice Mayor, you put me in a position that said, is that a yes or a no? That is the same argument that you're making today. I can't make a decision because the information is presented today, which, I think it's fair. So I think it depends on who and when different things are said, because when you look at things logically, things make sense. When I said I just needed a little bit of time because the staff has taken, 3-4 months to make a budget, I needed a little bit more time to review what you were presenting that day, it's fair. Like today, you're saying, I need a little bit more time, Mayor, to look at what you're presenting, it's fair too. But, I think what's happening again is that we let our feelings, our emotions feed into what we really need to do.
And things are presented here in a way that we can look at it, take our time, and make the right decision. But I really hate the fact that we're like regurgitating this information to the residents. Like if something is being done wrong here, it's not. It's not. We just, let's look at the information. It's here, and there's plenty of time to do that. And we're gonna do things in the most transparent and fair way possible. That's why we were elected.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, any questions on items from the budget? Things you want to add, delete, recommendations?
If I may,
Yes, Councilwoman Cabral.
thank you for the presentation today and for your office as well. One thing is that my concern, definitely, I share with the Vice Mayor that I really would like, for the different departments to be able to present. I understand that you're bringing another view, things, how it's done in other cities, but I know firsthand our residents really like to see the presentation of each of the departments and see how is it that they, why they have requested, the things that they need for the budget to be reflected in the budget. So I understand that sometimes it takes time, but it is the people's money and is what they work for them to provide those taxes. So we make the decision and we administer those. So for me, it's a way of respect of giving the opportunity for each of the departments, each of the directors to explain why is it that they need, why do I need this to be more efficient and to give to get the resources to be more efficient to the residents. And for me, it's not the passion or whatever one is to be called here in the dais, but in the past 3 years, they haven't really been major construction when it comes in the government as well as the community growth in the past 3 years. And my concern is that I can see that is being an increase of 45% on our budget. We're talking that actually, and this is something that I've been talking since the last 2 years or 2 years, that we went from the actual 2022, 2023 to $70 million, 700 and so, to what is projected to be close to this budget year of $125 million, 600 and so. I see concerns in different departments, for example, public affairs, an increase of 205%. I see I understand that one was the residents who voted for it, the city council, that there's an increase of 78%, but it's not just on what it was approved, but other expenses within the mayor's office. We're talking that co-compliance went up to 60%, police 40%, general government 86%. So parks, I understand some part of it because we have a new park that went 45% increase. So my concern is that we have seen a total revenue of 22% increase, but the expenditures go to 45%. And that's something that I really need to go over. My understanding also is now that we're taking today a decision for me was that each of the departments were going to come. We're going to be able to ask other questions. They're going to be based on their presentation and their needs. The other thing is that thank you for bringing this up. I need time to review this. I think that they might be even, there will be areas that we can even improve within your presentation to see how we will be able, with our taxpayer money, we'll be able then to support others that are going through difficult times, because I do understand many goes through difficult times. I've been a homeowner from this city since 2008. I actually had 2 properties, and it's not really $50 that you pay. You base on the value of your house, so it's not really $50. So I don't know. I mean, whoever doesn't have, I understand that maybe some of the council members that are here, they have never been a homeowner, and maybe that's why they're a little bit confused on how that works. But it's not really $50. That goes with the value of your property. And there's a math and a formula that is done. So as everybody knows, in the past 2, I have not agreed. On this one, I see so many things that need question. And no, I'm not. Today is not the day to vote. Today is the day just to go. We were supposed to go over this, even if it is whatever hours needs to be taken. That's why we are here for, to make sure that we allocating the taxpayers' money the way that it should. And I see that it's not responsible. I mean, in the past 3 years, 45% from 70 millions to 125. It was where it's reflected to be close. I think that there's many expenditures that are not needed and many expenses that are not needed, especially in public affairs. I mean, we're talking that this is what we need to be promoting, the mayor's office and many other things that she always love all of that, that I don't think that we need to spend all that money for the things that the residents really need.
Okay, are you done? Yes? That's your comments for now?
For now.
Okay, perfect. All right, anything else? Yes, Councilman Pinedo.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a couple of comments. Starting with, comments about why the budget has increased in the past years. This is the seventh time that I sit through a budget discussion as part of the city of Doral. 4 as a staff, 3 as a council member. And the first thing that I want to say to Mr. Casamayor and your team, Saul, great job. I mean, you guys keep exceeding putting the bar very high. So congratulations, thank you for your time, dedication. And as it has been mentioned, these require a lot of time and hours to put these together. So I did my homework and I came prepared. And a couple of comments. I don't need to be an economist or to have a finance background to realize that in the last 3 or 4 years, we had an increase in different areas that the city actually needed. And in order for us to deliver what we call excellence and to keep improving our services and quality of life for the residents, and for us as elected officials that out there love to preach that we have the lowest millage rate in Miami-Dade County, that we have the best police department in the world, which you guys are. Don't take me wrong. I don't call you drivers. I respect your position very well, and I respect what you guys do. And I believe the sergeant in arms it's another officer, not only here in the city of Doral, but all sergeants in arms in Miami-Dade County. So I want to start with that because I believe it is shameful that council members call, quote, driver to a police officer when we have sergeants in arms in all Miami-Dade County, including county commissioners, other municipalities. So the fact that we call, quote, driver, chofer in Spanish, to a police officer, shame on you. Having said that, when we speak about the budget, it's easy to understand that when you look at departments like the police department, in 2021, 2022, we had 237 funded positions as part of our budget. Last year, 260. This year is projected 262. So, of course, you're going to have an increase in the budget. It's common sense. And why? Because we need more officers. People demanded to have more officers when we got elected in 2022. So come on, people. And not only that, last year, compared with this year, we're only talking about 2 more positions. And then we love to put posts and go out there and say, yes, we have the lowest crime rate, we have the best police department, but then you're criticizing probably the most important department that we have in the city, which is the police department, and they need more funding. So it's not a secret. So when you compare 2021 with 2025, 2026 budget, of course you see an increase in the police department of close to $11 million. They need that money. They need more officers. They need more equipment. They need better salaries. They have done whatever they can in the last 3 years. We have made great improvements in our police department in the last 3 years. And yes, we're proud to say that we have the best police department in Miami-Dade County. But that's why you need more funding. When you look at other departments that you guys love to preach out there, the Parks Department. It's not a secret. 47, 2021, 2022, 73 positions, 25, 26. Of course there's an increase. Of course there's more funding that is needed. And when you go over the budget from 2021 to 2025, 2026, that, by the way, I don't know why you want to compare 2021, 2022 with the last 3 years, which, by the way, has been a way far better council than back in 2021, 2022, for the record. When you look at other departments, human resources, 13 in 2021, 2022, 19 in 2025, 2026. These people need more bodies in there. You know how many hours they spend trying to hire all the staff for Doral Central Park in months? Plus everything that is going on inside the city as well, including the police department. Public affairs. I know you guys love to talk about public affairs. Correct me, Madam City Manager. Economic development now is becoming part of public affairs. That's why you have an increase in budget.
Yes, Councilman. I circulated an email to everyone explaining that the increase in public affairs was because we reabsorbed the economic development positions into its department that have been put under the city manager.
Thank you. Public Works, 39 in 21, 2022, now 49. We need more people out there. We need more people taking care of our streets, more people making sure that everything is clean, nice, and neat. And it is right now, and it has been for years. They do a great job. They need more people in there. So it is normal that when it's like me saying, what was the population in 2021? What's the population in 2025? Same thing. So to make those comparisons and try to project and say it out there that we're just increasing the budget and spending the money that way, whatever we want, is very responsible, because you have to look at the departments and what we offer from each department. And let me just keep going, because, I mean, if you do your research, you do your homework, you get the numbers anyway. For the first time, another area that you guys love to speak about it and love to take pictures with them, seniors and special needs. For the first time, there is a budget of $700,000 just for them. For the first time in Doral history. And thanks to that, we're increasing programs, we're increasing the activities, and everything that we offer for seniors and special needs, which they deserve. Because it's not just a matter of reducing $50 a year, which that's the number. And we have Mr. Casamayor here to answer. And I don't have your background, sir, so you have a lot of experience. So it is $50 a year. It's a fact, correct?
So that's the average. Yeah, that's
correct.
the average homeowner. Again, depending on the value of property, it could be less, it could be more, depending
That's the
on
average.
yeah, how long you've had your homestead exemption. Is a whole list of things, but every year we go through and figure out what the average homeowner looks like. And that's what we presented, the $382,000, because that would be the average homeowner. taking into account that they would have a homestead exemption, double homestead exemption because the city adopted that many years ago. The average tax that they would pay is a little over $600 to the city of Doral.
Thank you. So the fact that we're being able to offer $700,000 to increase community programming for seniors and special needs, we should be proud of that. Let me keep going on. The fact that we're expanding more cultural programming, something that we have never done in the city. $326,000 towards cultural events and programming. No other city in Miami-Dade County can say that. You're talking about $1 million just between seniors, special needs, and art and culture. No cost to the residents. When it comes to park improvements, 2.4, close to $2.5 million in park improvements. When you add that up, it's about $3.5 million just in parks, in programs. So of course you see an increase in budget. Now, you want to take that away? That's my question. You want to defund the police? Go ahead. Cut positions. Because if you tell me how, or if you show me how you're going to reduce the budget without affecting police and parks, I might entertain the idea. But so far, discussions about if the mayor has assistants or a driver, that doesn't help the residents out there. That doesn't clear any questions. This is the reality. This is where the money is going to. And that's why I'm glad to not only defend our finance department and staff, because this is a great presentation. This is a great proposal for our city. And I'm glad that we're not going to play the same game that some of you tried to play last year. And Mayor, when it comes to your proposal, the only suggestion, I like it. The only suggestion that I would like to make is when it comes to the local business proposal.
Draw seeds.
I'm sorry, yes. Doral seats. Since you're talking about a competition, maybe you want to make it like a first place, second place, and third place, and I'll be amicable in increasing that budget to make it more attractive and more competitive if we have at least first place, second place, and third place. And also, I would like to suggest that instead of business operating for the last 6 months, to make it a 12 months or a year lease.
I'm also looking for private funding to be able to increase that amount.
That will be great. And other than that, I think that the other two programs will certainly make a relief. I'm glad that you're moving forward the emergency hardship grant, something that by the way, didn't happen during the COVID. I know you tried. The rest of the council didn't approve funding helping businesses back then. So I'm glad that we're creating this. And when it comes to the seniors, I'm all on board when it comes to the seniors. So the $200 grant is more than $50 a year that has been proposed. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Councilman. So I'm going to do a couple things very quickly.
I have comments to answer some of his questions.
Well, I would like to do my presentation now. 'Cause
Okay,
I
so
do
then
have
after
questions and
that,
stuff, too.
I would like to ask the word.
Absolutely. So first, a couple things. All of our city directors are here and present, and so I'm going to go ahead and ask for, do some of my questioning and have them come up and answer if finance feels that they are not prepared to answer it and directly. I also want to make a comment that is exactly what strategic planning was. Every department presented, correct? And I'm sorry you couldn't join us, Councilwoman, at that, Councilwoman Cabral.
I send my excuse.
Yeah, so you weren't there for that, but we spent an entire day of listening to each department director come up and tell us what they need and their vision for their department to formalize and create this document. the budget. So this is just the reflection of that. We already did that. Last year, we had the budget workshop. Each person came up. Most people were on their phones. No one paid attention. At the end, no one asked any questions anyway. Nothing happened. So I really believe this is a very efficient process, and it ties everything back full circle. We start with strategic planning. That's where we hear what their vision is. That's where we provide feedback. What's our goals? How are we going to give the best services to the residents? How are we going to best utilize this budget? They create the budget. We have our participation. Now we're here. So I do have a couple of comments and questions about this current budget. For those who don't understand how the budget works, what you're looking at, there was a comment made that the budget went up 45% and that in 2022, 2023, it was $70 million. First of all, that's not the adopted budget. That was the final. That was the actual, how you close out at the end of the year. That changes because we don't always expend, for those who maybe don't understand this, when we adopt a budget, it's a roadmap. It's not necessarily what's being spent 100%. Sometimes we can't spend it all. We have POs that are open, money gets rolled over. So what actually reconciles and closes at the end of the year, which is the fund balance, and what you see actually in numbers changes. So what you adopt and what's actually expended is two totally different things, which brings me to this first document that I want to pass out. Madam Clerk, if you could help me. This is an ordinance from September 30th, 2020. No, sorry, this is, what date was this? So March 9th, 2022, April, it was second reading, April 13th, 2022. And this was the decision of the City Council to take $33 million from our reserve to fund Doral Central Park. So if you look, the last page, at the bottom, okay, here we go. Adopted fiscal year 21, 23, amended, the amounts. If you look at the ending fund balance that was proposed when they made this decision, the ending fund balance was supposed to be $40,906, but that wasn't actually what ended up closing. When you look at the history, that is not reflected here in our current because the money didn't actually get expended because Doral Central Park wasn't built. Didn't get built till last year, the year before that. So that's why you see a significant decrease in our fund balance this past year because two big things happened. Doral Central Park is being closed out. That's also why you see, so when Councilwoman Cabral says $25 million, it's gone up, that's not necessarily accurate. You're not depicting the truth, the real numbers here, okay? Because in operating, this budget right now is actually $98 million. 15 million of it is capital. And the money you're talking about in this fiscal year's actuals include Doral 10, which was $21 million, okay, and Doral Central Park. So you're not being truthful and honest, as it goes back to what Councilwoman Reynoso is saying. So those are not real depictions of a 45% increase because there's costs there that are one-time costs. Our current real operating budget is reflective of the growth the city has had. And I'd like to go by some departments, each one, so that we can clarify some of these, all right? And if you reviewed the book that you received, not the full line item book with every single line item, because I know it's hard to go through that, but on page 16 of your summary book, which is the one you have open in front of you, it explains what I just said about the actual numbers. So we have to be, if we want to be so righteous, as we say, then let's be honest. Because that's not a true depiction. And you can see it very clearly here. You see the actuals, and you see the amended and the year-end estimated of what we intend to have. And then at the bottom, you'll see use of fund balance capitals and prior year operating balances, which transfer over because they're expected to not be completely paid out by the September 30th date, closeout date, because our fiscal year runs October 1st through September 30th. So that's another thing I want to clarify, because it's said a lot of times, and I'll be honest, I thought it was like that until I did this many, many times. When we talk about a reserve, it's not a savings account that the city has, like just sitting there that we dip into. It is literally our fund balance. It's like a checkbook. It's a checkbook. It's a revolving account that all of our funds go through and all of our money is spent from. And at the end, you're left with a sum. And then your revenues come in, that sum increases, and then you have your expenditures. And that fund balance that you see at the bottom is that leftover amount. And that fluctuates depending on what POs are actually closed out at the end of the year. That's why you don't see the fund balance expenditure in the year that this decision was made. You see it last year, or this year, right? It's this current year, sorry. I'm thinking 24, but it's actually 24, 25. So that's why you see it now. But the decision was made back then so that we could finish building Doral Central Park. So I just wanted to clarify that. The other last thing I want to pass out, Madam Clerk, if you'll help me, also, sorry, before I go into each question and department, for anybody who may have forgotten, maybe you can just help me pass it that way. This is the charter compensations. The only salary that was not affected was mine, but it was more than 120% increase. That's why you see a huge difference from last fiscal year, because we had an amended budget, to this fiscal year, because it's accounting for the full year of the change in salary from $19,355 for council members to $56,438. So it took our compensations from 158 to 306. That's double. I voted against it. I advocated against it. So just as a reminder. Now, let's continue. Let's go through some of these one by one. Public affairs. It was addressed by the councilman. The reason why there is a 41% increase reflected is because it was assumed the Economic Development Division, correct? I don't know if Mr. Casamayor wants to just confirm or.
I think it helps when you open up the book and follow along.
Yeah, I'm doing it
Yeah,
here.
some of us are not.
Yes, other than the proposed 5% COLA and 5% step increases for employees, we are also moving the economic development team from the manager's office back to public affairs.
So that's the large, significant increase from previous years. That obviously also the increases of COLA over the years make up for some of the increases that we've seen year over year in public affairs.
That is correct.
Is there any other significant costs in public affairs? Have any more positions been added this year in public affairs?
This year, no.
Okay, and is there any other significant changes?
No.
I believe last year there was, and maybe Maggie can come and help with this, but do believe last year there was one position created or two positions created in public affairs?
Yes, the year before.
The year before that, which was the marketing?
Marketing specialist and sponsorship coordinator.
And the sponsorship coordinator's position is to, what is the why? What is the reason?
So the result came to centralized sponsorship for all departments. So that position works with all the departments to go ahead and garner and foster better relationships with our businesses and get more funding.
So create revenue. Correct. And make up for what we spend on some of our
events. So some events you'll see that are budgeted for, yet we still strive always to get more sponsorship to underride those costs and not use the budgeted funds.
Perfect. Okay. And Maggie, I'm sorry. So this year, is there any additional increase? I know that one of our strategic goals is communication. It's one of our biggest ones because one of the complaints we get is that people don't know, they don't hear about events, they find out later. So we've strived to continue to improve on that. And one of our strategic goals was to enhance communication. Can you give me a couple of examples of what we're doing to enhance that communication and new implementations that are budgeted for this year that could affect the budget?
So really it's continued efforts in how we're kind of directing our resources and staffing to create more integrated communication campaigns, to be more transparent, to engage people more. We do have budgeting for text notifications, however, it's not reflected in the public affairs, that's under IT. But again, the goal is to not only provide emergency text notifications, but just general events canceled, rescheduled. We have a public workshop to really get people more involved and more a part of the conversation.
Yes, and also, I believe that we added, and it wasn't this year, but we also are doing more, we started doing mail again to homes, the Doral.
Yes, Mayor. So a couple years ago, we did go back to doing the quarterly newsletter digitally, but we mail out postcards every quarter to inspire people to tune in, read it, and learn more about what the city is doing.
Okay, and anything else significantly that you feel has been increased or has a significant change or that we are pushing for? I think we also, I asked you about ads. We're gonna start doing ads to push city events and so that people get more information.
More targeted, more purposeful, and intentional advertising across all of our platforms. to make
Educational,
sure-
educational campaigns,
educational
like the
campaigns,
scooters.
scooters to ensure safety, to ensure that citizens are abiding by our laws and our rules. More
Traffic
targeted to
notification.
make sure that we're reaching our audience.
Okay, so that's what's reflected in your budget.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody have any questions now that Maggie's up here? Yes, I think Sol has a quick, sorry.
We have made the summaries, not the line items, but the summary page for each department available for IT to pull up.
Okay,
Like that, you see personnel, operating, and capital categories up on the screen for the benefit of the public.
okay, great. Thank you, Maggie. All right. Another department that I believe was discussed, and I want to point out that in this budget, again, I'm going to say it again, our operating is 98 million. Plus, there's also 3 million that is capital outlay within each department, which is like computers and things like that. And then there's our OPED fund, which is 400,000. And then the rest, the additional 15 million is capital improvements, like, you know, which was outlined in the presentation. It's the police building, the garage we're looking to build, the retail to generate revenue. So I think we need to really focus on those, on that operating fund, because that is where our everyday municipal services are operated from, and that's the real fund that we need to be worried about growth, because that's what is funded by the fees and the taxes that come in. All right, I'm gonna go to, well, obviously we now have an inspector general. That's funded here. Human resources, can I have human resources, please? Sorry to put you on the spot, Maria, but. Human resources. So this is one of those departments that had a significant change this year. I believe it was addressed at least during my review, and I did ask. There is positions being added in this budget. Maria, can you give us a little bit of information about the positions that you're requesting?
Sure. Some of the positions, I'm requesting actually 3 positions, 2 human resources coordinators and 1 human resource generalist. Currently, with the growth of the police department and parks department, we can barely stay afloat. I need more manpower to process onboarding, to provide benefits to employees, and to engage with employees. Our jobs is to onboard them and keep them sustained through their life cycle here. We're not able to do that to the best. We try our best, but just in the last year, we've onboarded 140 part-timers for the parks. We onboarded
And that's due to what, Maria? I'm sorry, 140 new employees in parks. What
Doral
was-
Central Park.
Oh, wow, that's right. It's open now.
We also had to onboard lifeguards, which was a brand new position. They had needed certain testing, certain physicals. We have to ensure that they have all their certifications and that the certifications are up to date and are kept. We had to also go through contractors for additional lifeguards that we had to deal with them. And for janitorial services, also for the parks, Doral Central Park.
Yeah, I will tell you, when I sat with the administration, I raised a flag on how many positions were being added. However, I heard our directors when they said, and I complained about it a bit, and you know that. I felt that it took a really long time to onboard people and get employees, you know, in the process. And so I heard the rest of our directors saying, you want us to provide service, we need to have the capacity. And so I think that, and I asked at my meeting, and I was told that since 2022, personnel in police and parks has increased 27%. That's significant.
Yes.
And obviously your department is the one that handles all of that. So they justified it to me enough that I said, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Obviously they need the help. the other thing I want to mention, and this is reflective in the entire budget, is even though these positions are fully funded, it may take time to get them onboarded. And so therefore, our actual at the end of the year may be significantly less because the while the positions may be staggered, you're not going to fund them completely. And also there's ranges.
There's
of
ranges and there's also,
salaries.
it's twofold also. It's depending on the applicant. A lot of times we pursue the applicants and they're not responsive. So that's something that you also have to take into account.
Right. Okay. Any other significant changes in your department, Maria? Reflective here.
No, those are the three things that I'm looking for. And if I could get them, it would be great because we could provide a lot more service to our personnel
Okay.
and our departments.
Okay. And what I'm seeing here, your
Also, you have to take into consideration that all the fees have increased for testing, for
Correct.
drug
That was
tests,
the other question.
for psychological testing, for polygraph testing. All the fees have increased, and that's where some of our increases have
Right, that
reflected
was-
also.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much, Maria.
You're welcome.
All right, another area that was significantly increased, according to the mention, is information technology. And to my understanding, in this budget, 2 positions are being added to information technology, IT. Hi, Gladys.
Good afternoon.
Happy birthday today, by the way.
Thank you.
It was put incorrectly in my thing, so
Don't worry.
we're gonna sing to you later.
Thank you.
Okay, so you do have an increase and you have 2 positions that are being requested here. Can you
Yes.
tell me those 2 positions? What's your why? Why are you asking for these 2 positions?
Okay, we're looking to create a business analyst unit, which is going to be the bridge between IT and the business and the departments in this case. This unit is going to be tasked with finding the best solutions for the departments, helping them be more efficient and have more alignment with the strategic goals and making sure that everything is for the better of the community and the departments as well. The other position, one position is a business analyst, which is going to be for the business analyst unit. The other position is an IT technician for the Doral Central Park. Due to the need of Doral Central Park and moving the parks department there and the amount of systems and employees that they have there, we need to have a technician full-time there to offer services and not be back and forth driving from here to there. Due to the immediate need, we decided to, originally we were going to reclassify one of our current positions for the business analyst and open a second business analyst in October. With the IT technician, what we did was we reclassified the current position for the IT technician because that's the current need, the most imperative need right now, and then we will have the 2 business analysts in October.
Okay, so your department was also impacted by the opening of Doral Central Park, and it's reflected here.
Yes, correct.
Okay, any other significant changes, programs, or that you have planned for implementation this year?
In personnel, no. In personnel would be just that. There is a big increase always in maintenance. IT is in charge of every single technology or system that the whole city uses, being the police department and all the departments here at City Hall. Renewals always increase. Big systems as Microsoft, they have big increases every year, so that's a number that would always go up, and it's just renewals. There are some solutions that we always try to find another solution that may provide the same services and cost us less. There are some others, like, for example, Microsoft, that there is not a lot of options out there. But our maintenance account is one that it usually goes up a lot, and it's because it's a maintenance for all the systems in the city, including the police department, which has a lot of systems, of course, for security.
Okay.
And
All right.
I think that's much on the capital. It's most of The items on capital is replacement of end-of-life equipment like the LPRs, the laptops, the desktop, the equipments that we have here and at the police department, and network equipment as well, that always we need to keep up to date to be safe.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, general government. I don't know if we want to cover a little bit of general government. I think the biggest change in general government or increase in general government, and if you compare from the year that was compared earlier of 2022-23 to this year's proposed, I think the biggest increases there have been insurance, right? Sol or Fernando?
Correct. The biggest increase in general government was in the insurance account, 500, 450, and the general liability
Doral Central Park.
was the main driver. So when we received the fourth quarter bill and they completed the audit for the fiscal year end, that's when we received how much the insurance was going to go up for the following year. So that is the main driver, increasing your operating in general government. That was an impact of 35%.
Through the mayor, real quick. Mayor, it's important to note, I understand the park's been around for a little bit and we're wondering why the insurance goes up now. While the park is being built, the community center, the aquatic center are not operational, and the insurance that is being used to cover that is the general contractor's insurance. It is being carried by them. The city is absorbing this high cost right now because we have TCO on the buildings and we've begun to operate them. Therefore, the insurance conducted an audit and went through the entire park, looked at the skate park, the aquatic center, and the community center, and that is why the insurance is going up by like $2 million.
Okay,
I have a comment on this.
yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So in the earlier, more abridged presentation, there was a circle that had the difference between what the liability increase now between, hold on, I think it was, just have so many notes here. Anyways, it was like 2 million or so, right? And that encompassed 3
Right.
areas of liability, which was our park, I think it was our cars.
General liability.
Yes.
Let me pull up the exact
Please pull up
statement.
that circle.
IT, it goes to our presentation, our budget presentation.
Yeah, so the categories are typically AD&D, which is accidental death and dismemberment, general liability, auto insurance. We have cybersecurity insurance and pollution insurance.
Okay.
But the largest increases were all on the liability side.
Correct.
And what was that amount?
It's approximately $2 million.
And if we roll back our millage rate, what is our loss projected?
$2.6 million.
Okay, so it sounds like we would be at a negative if we do a rollback amount. I'm just doing some math here. Okay.
We'd have to cut, because you have to have a balance.
I know.
So you would have to find, so what we need is, if that's the case, we need to find where to cut. So we're going through that now.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll move on to police, because I think this is one of the most impactful changes. I'm looking at the 2022-2023 fiscal year. It was actual, which means what it closed at was 29,407,000. To my understanding, in that year, there was, in an effort to reduce and roll back the rate, at that time, an election year, there was 20 positions frozen, I believe, in police. Yes, I'm seeing nodding heads. Somebody come up and confirm this, please. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not the police,
I know. Definitely a finance guy.
but I do help them a lot. When I got here, there were about 24 vacancies in police. 21 of them were frozen. Because again, when they did the rollback millage the year before I got here, that was how they balanced the budget.
Correct.
Since then, Maria and her team, the chief and his team, we have hired as many positions as we can, and we're almost to a point where the vacancies are about normal.
Correct. And I believe that there was a question about vacancies asked. I did not print that information, but I believe there was vacancies, but it's really trainees that we have in, they're not really vacancies because we expect our 17 trainees to fill those positions. Right, we hold the position, and when they graduate, they fill those positions.
Yeah, currently we have 17 trainees either in the academy or ready to go to the academy, and we are holding 17 police officer vacancies in order for them to come out of the academy and become a police officer.
Right. And again, that's why you see that the actual may be different than the adopted, because some of those positions, while funded, may not actually be expended. This year, I know we're adding the police parks unit, so we're adding positions there that requires vehicles, and when you add these positions, it's not just the body and the officer, unless you want to put them on a scooter or a bike. In that case, so you have to have all the equipment and everything that goes with it. So I don't know if the chief wants to come and address this or anybody else, but is there any other significant changes in your request other than the community engagement, outreach, all your equipment upgrades and things that require just normal maintenance? And
Nothing else, Madam Mayor, but like you mentioned, the Parks Response Unit has been a critical unit for, amongst all the other units that we've seen, but those really were allocated this year to support Doral Central Park and the other parks as well. They're not only assigned to that park. We have personnel that are working 7 days a week, but we did pull resources from existing units like our traffic section, our school resource officer unit, and our patrol to be able to staff that adequately. So right now, we're assisting as needed, all hands on deck, but ideally, after October 1st, we'll be able to backfill those positions and reallocate them to those other specialized units, which are equally as important.
okay. All right, and then the capital improvement, which is for the building that we're looking at building, because obviously you need to vacate the Public Works. Public Works has grown, they need their facility back for vehicles and everything. So we're looking at building this police building, which was part of our strategic plan, and the land that we have from the state. That capital is not reflected here, but there is a large capital improvement that we are looking at putting in, right? So that's not, is it reflected here? No, right? It's the one.
No,
It's in.
it is reflected in the capital improvement funds. That is to just maintain the funds segregated from general fund, and it keeps the accounting of it very clean.
Yeah. Here's the thing that is hard to explain with that. The capital improvement is still funded from general fund. So I questioned this when I saw it in our budget, because I said the 15 million looks duplicated in our budget when you look at the full 174. And the reason for that is because for accounting purposes, to pull the 15 million out of general fund and transfer it into the CIP fund, you have to show it twice. But it's actually, and so I said, could we hypothetically fund capital improvement projects from general fund? Your answer, Sol, was?
Yes, but that goes back to how we want to lay out
Practices.
our funds and segregate our commitments.
Yeah, and so better practices would, and that's why we have a triple bond A rating and our audits. It all goes back to those things. That is a policy decision to take that fund, transfer it out, put it into CIP, and earmark it so that it's basically they're identified, separated funds from our general fund.
Correct.
But that has to show that debit out and in, and that's why you see it twice, basically reflected in
Right.
our.
And it all goes back to the trim ad. So that will be a transfer out that the residents will see going from general fund, and it will be an appropriation, an expenditure in the capital improvement fund.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Chief. Anything else you want to add about your budget or a need? Now that
No,
you're here
no.
for us to make a better decision.
No, at this time, no, but I do want to give special kudos to the city manager and the city manager's office and Fernando and Sol, because it is a very tedious process, and I know that the police department has a big slice of the pie, and they've been very supportive, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Okay, I also want to just point out, I'm going to hand it to you right now. I also just want to point out, when it was made, we were made aware of this also during their presentation, is that our FRS is up to 30 what % now?
35.19%.
35.19,
Yeah.
with no significant changes to the program over the last year.
Correct. So 35. No, we know, but it affects the budget. It's so we have to account for that, and we're currently in negotiations for the collective bargaining. Madam City Manager, you had a comment.
Yes, Mayor. In the public safety slide where we that Sol went through, we also highlighted the amount that we're allocating, which is 2.8 million for end-of-life patrol vehicles, motorcycles, so that our force can remain mobile, efficient, and safe in serving our community. We have done extensive meetings with respect to fleet. We are doing specific programs that we have put in place. Police has been very active in their new structure to be able to do that, to establish policies for the cars. We are working with Public Works at the same time, who's weighed in this on these meetings. We are establishing a fleet replacement fund so that we don't have to expend things when there are end of life, but there is money to do that every time that we are going to do that. So we're planning for the future. We're spending money now to replace things that maintenance-wise doesn't make sense to keep because it's costing us more to maintain it. So we are looking for efficiencies with respect to everything that it is that they use. And again, that was part of like the public safety slide and why we wanted to expand that. And I've met with some of you specifically about these things.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm gonna move on to code compliance very quickly. We're running on time. So I believe in code compliance, significant change this year is the additional position you're asking, which if you could please, Edgar, tell us a little bit about that position, because I asked, and I was very, I really grilled administration this year about positions being added in certain places, but this one seems very justified.
Okay, sure. So the code compliance technician position is going to clear up some efficiencies for our regular code compliance officers. This particular position is not going to be an officer per se, but they are going to be taking care of minor nuisance issues when it comes to private property. So loose litter, which can be seen throughout the city at certain times, graffiti, anything that is seen from the public right-of-way is something that the code compliance technician will go ahead and take care of. It'll provide what I like to call white glove service to the community. So a lot of times what happens with our officers is they'll see loose trash within 5 feet of the right-of-way. So that's not something that Public Works will usually take care of. That's something that our officers will need to take care of. A lot of times these are commercial property centers that they don't have somebody on site to address that immediately. Our officer would need to initiate a code case. It might take 2-3 days for a notice to reach that property owner, and then for them to take care of that issue. This particular position will take away all of that extended work and that time, that paperwork. That position will go ahead and take care of the issues immediately. They'll touch base with somebody that is on site, let them know that we're here as a courtesy. We're providing that service to them, so it doesn't draw out our officers from handling other more complex issues.
Okay, perfect. Is there any other significant, and I'm looking at the budget for your office right now, and really the bulk of your budget is personnel, which is what your department is. It's people, they're out on the road,
Yes.
enforcing our code and making sure the city stays compliant.
Correct. We've always had a pretty lean budget, and we're personnel heavy. So the percentages might be a little bit misleading only because our operating budget is, from this year, it's 45,000, and it's going up 24%, but that accounts to a $10,000 raise for operational supplies. And then our capital, we're acquiring three new vehicles, one for the new position and two to replace some existing end-of-life vehicles.
Okay. All right. Anything else you would like to add?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. I'm going to go into Parks and Recreation. I'm going to skip Public Works because I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. I believe there's one position being added there, which two positions? You want to address those real quick? Two? I think that's the only significant change there because most of those capital funds are from transportation and stormwater.
Yeah, correct. So the two positions that are being recommended for Public Works is an electrician, full-time electrician, The city systems have grown to a point where we're using contracted help whenever something breaks. It's constant, it's every day. So Carlos believes that we do have a full-time, enough for a full-time position to not only do the repairs, but also do the maintenance to prevent repairs in the future for all of our systems. So that's the electrician. And the other one is an assistant director position. The department has grown and the responsibilities in that department have grown significantly, where you have kind of a specialized transportation, parking, and trolley area, and then an infrastructure area where you have street improvements, infrastructure, and maintenance. So you have two different talent types that are needed. Right now, we do have the talent type on the transportation side. Carlos has been doing, kind of wearing two hats as director and also doing all the infrastructure. So we believe it's at a point where we need to have an assistant director in that department that can focus on the infrastructure side. Those are the two positions that we're recommending.
Okay, so the department will kind of be divided into two areas, infrastructure and construction, and the other one more transportation, mobility, and,
That is correct.
all right. And then Parks and Recreation, I think, is the other big change. We're gonna have obviously the large increase here is that we now have Central Park 100% operational.
That's correct.
And therefore, there is a lot of operational costs. I think we saw in the presentation that it could be up to $9 million that really impact Central Park, and that's encompassing all different departments that support Central Park. Is there any other major changes? And I know obviously we're doing a lot of capital improvements in parks as well too, not just the parking garage we're looking at in Central Park for, and retail to generate revenue, but also we're replacing the playgrounds.
Two playgrounds,
in
yeah.
two of the parks. So can you just highlight a little bit of the major changes and improvements that we have to parks to reflect that significant increase?
So of course, now we're running the community center and the aquatic center. And then we're going to be expanding the seniors special needs programming. We'll be onboarding a new online registration software for programs and rentals, which is needed. And then we have the two playground replacements and then a vehicle for a new park ranger that's being requested. And then some positions to support both Doral Central and the other sites.
So I know that there are a couple positions being requested in this department as well, and I did have the discussion with the administration. I did have a concern with the park ranger because we are investing into the police parks unit. I felt that it was duplicative to invest into another park ranger. I shared my comments with the administration, and I'd like to see a reevaluation of what we're actually using those positions for.
Okay.
To make sure they're supporting the needs of the service in the park and the maintenance. What I noticed, and I made many complaints about this, was that I saw a deterioration of the maintenance in our other parks while focusing on getting Doral Central Park open. And that was concerning to me because it is a large responsibility and it's a large upkeep, Doral Central Park, and our other parks can't suffer because this is open. And so I want to make sure that what we are supporting in investing in this budget is that it's in the service and what our residents are using and in the maintenance.
Yeah, so for example, we have 85,000 budgeted for pressure cleaning the parks on a more consistent basis. And then we have positions which we really haven't expanded the parks maintenance side significantly over the years. So you're going to have another foreman, you're going to have a facility coordinator that will do some of the coordination with the contractors that deal with the trades. So ACs, electrical, plumbing, etc. To get on that and to provide more support to the staff that we have at Central. They do more of the day-to-day opening of the park, changing the liners, those types of activities. This coordinator position would do more of the coordination with the trades and the contractors that we have coming in to do maintenance.
Okay, all right, perfect. Any other comments or that you want to point out on your budget?
We are expanding cultural programming as well. So that's reflected in our budget, including new events like an Oktoberfest.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. All right. those are really the bulk of the departments and the services that are provided, and I think the reflection of the changes, while we have to say that they are increases, they're really the cost of operating in the city. Obviously, just like everything else, there is a cost of operation, and it does increase in everything. As you saw, services, programming, they all reflect an increase. So I think that this was a very thoughtfully prepared budget, understanding the situation we're in, also meeting the needs of the community and the growth we've had, managing the growth that we've had, and managing now, obviously, a very big facility that we have online. Moving forward, I think we definitely do need to look at we're doing that in this budget, is in investing in how we create and diversify our revenues so that we're not fully dependent on tax revenue, so that we can lower the millage rate, keep it the same as the city continues to grow, because we are not done growing as a city. That's just the reality. So I just wanted to put that out. Again, everyone is here, prepared, ready to go. I want to thank Finance, Mr. Casamayor, Sol, Michelle, Mika, all of you. Great job. You guys did wonderful. And our staff, our administration, Zeta, Frank, everybody did a wonderful job. We had several meetings on that. I was very tough. We looked to find savings where necessary. There's still a couple that I've mentioned to them that they have to justify. But it's also important to say that this is a proposed budget so that we can have a roadmap moving forward. This does not mean that every single penny is expended. It still has to come before us to be administered. So I want to mention that as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is I just want to make sure we have consensus for the 3 items that I presented to be added to the budget. Do we have consensus? Yes?
Say yes.
Councilman?
Yep.
Yes? Okay, so we have consensus to go ahead and move that. Mr. Casamayor, you told me this would not impact our budget. You have a place to take it from, so we're not gonna be making any large cuts or...
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be reducing any services in order to get that. I mean, we do have a contingency reserve that is set aside for things exactly like this. And, we're not completely done. We'll continue to look through our budget as we get estimates from the state of Florida for other revenue sources. It may be easier to implement versus others. So it's a work in progress. By September, you will definitely have a recommendation as to how to fund what you have in front of you, plus whatever you're asking us to look into.
Perfect, I think we have consensus to add that. Is there any other requests to be added to the budget at this time or to be reduced?
No, but I have a comment.
Okay, Councilwoman Reynoso.
Okay. So to administration, to our city manager, our deputy city manager, assistant city manager, in my meeting, all my suggestions were discussed, so I felt that it was a very fruitful meeting when I would meet with you. And I want to thank our mayor for her leadership. I don't know if everyone in the public knows, but her trade is accounting. So she really did an excellent job breaking this down so we can understand a lot of what goes into making a budget. And to our staff, I know this wasn't like the rapid fire that the chief does with his officers. That's a little fun. You guys really killed it. I mean, this goes to show that each of you really know what you're talking about, love what you do. And Doral is a city of excellence. And it really goes to show based on the work and the responses that you guys had today on a fly. So I want to tell you how proud I am to have each and every one of you work here in the city, represent our city. Couldn't have asked for a better group of people to stand up here and address the things and answer the questions as fast and as truthfully as you did. And that really is the definition of transparency and fiscal responsibility. So thank you, staff, for being as amazing as you are.
Thank
I have
you,
a quick
Councilwoman.
question.
Yes.
Can we get the presentation that you had today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you send it to us?
I think is it attached to the agenda? No, it wasn't.
No. So can you send that to us?
Absolutely, Vice Mayor. We will forward it to you. Yes, we'll forward it to everybody.
Everybody. Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other comments? All right. If there are no additional comments, then I think everybody has their direction. Madam Clerk, we need an adjournment. Motion to adjourn the, yes, motion to adjourn our budget workshop. We have an in the shade session that we're a little bit behind for, so all in favor say aye. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock.